What's up, guys? This is the Dirt Bike Channel podcast. I should say guys and gals, because I know there's some women out there that are listening to this. Hopefully we'll get more and more as time goes on. I'm Kyle Brotherson. I'm the host of Dirt Bike Channel. Today I got a pretty cool topic. We're going to be talking to Hunter from allkidsbike.org. Really cool program where they're trying to bring learning pedal bikes, specifically with Strider bikes, into school curriculums, and we'll talk about all of the good that they're doing and how you can get involved with that. And it's a big thing. You're probably thinking, why is a moto guy, why is the Dirt Bike Channel podcast talking about pedal bikes? Well, it's because it's the gateway drug, if you will. It's the way that we get into the sport. You don't end up owning or riding a motorcycle unless you already know how to ride a pedal bike. So that's that. If you want to support this podcast, before we jump into it, I should just mention that one of the best ways you can do it is use my links to Rocky Mountain ATV. You can, after you click on one of my links, one of my Dirt Bike Channel links for Rocky Mountain ATV, you can buy anything they sell. It helps to support the podcast, helps to support the YouTube channel, helps to support all of this. And if you're doing it in the month of March, we have a sweepstakes going on, and you can get entered to win the Gas EC300 that I'm giving away, and my son's KTM 65 SX, so that'll be given away as well. So that's what we got going on today. I'm pretty excited about this conversation with Hunter. And without further ado, I think I will just fade the music here just a little bit to set the mood, and we will jump right into that conversation. So I'll check back in with you at the end. Actually, I probably won't, because I think I'll just end the podcast after I'm done with Hunter. But check this out. If you have any questions or you have podcast suggestions, topics, you can always reach out to me, Kyle at dirtbikechannel.com, or customer service at dirtbikechannel.com. Okay, let's get into the podcast here with Hunter. Okay, so we've got Hunter Johnson in here. Hunter is with All Kids Bike. And Hunter contacted me, a couple months ago? I think it was back in December, and we had a phone conversation. And I just think it's an interesting topic, especially for me in dirt bikes, because one of the things I'm trying to do is grow the sport of dirt bikes, grow the sport of, riding on two wheels. But you can't just start with a motorcycle. You have to start with, teaching kids or teaching people how to ride on two wheels. And every kid is a little bit different. I've got 4 kids. And I kind of learned the hard way, training wheels suck. And there's a better way to go about this. And even just as recent as last night, I was actually, my 13-year-old son, he's almost 14. He wants to join the mountain bike team with the junior high that he's at. And it kind of segues up to the high school. And so I was in a room with, 100 kids and their parents last night, just talking about, everyone getting involved in mountain bike riding. And I'm just thinking, and all the cool things that they're doing. And I was thinking so much about this conversation that we're now going to have today, Hunter, because I think all of this really, it's all just one funnel. What we're trying to do is get more people into bikes, whether it's pedal bikes, whether it's motorcycles, and it all starts kind of down at the ground level. And that's where you guys are. So much of what we talk about in motorsport, whether it's supercross, motocross, off-road racing, or just playing out in the desert or the mountains, we want to grow the sport. We want it to flourish. And the ground level is right where you guys are with All Kids Bike. So that's my introduction. So Hunter, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing with All Kids Bike.
Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on, Kyle. I'm glad we could connect and have this conversation. So we're up here in Rapid City, South Dakota. I grew up here in a small town called Hot Springs. We're in the Black Hills. And I'd been gone for about 17 years and moved back a couple years ago. And it's a good place to ride dirt bikes and, ride bikes and mountain bikes and all that. And I kind of grew up, I was big into BMX riding, like dirt jumping and things like that. And I raced dirt bikes when I was a kid, but then I kind of got more into bicycles in my teenage years. And my dad always used to tell me that I was going to get hurt more on my bicycle than on my motorcycle. And that ended up being true. Broke my leg riding my BMX bike. But
is that because you were doing big air or tricks or something like that? What happened?
Yeah. So I had like some dirt jumps. Like I had like a 6-pack that I would get home from school and I would just go dig and build jumps. And just riding and probably I was trying some trick and yeah, just broke my legs. How it goes, I guess. But yeah, so just always kind of been into motorcycles and bicycles, and I have two kids, and as soon as my kids couldn't even walk, and I got them striders, and just super excited to get them on them and get them learning, and just to be able to go out and ride with them. And I started here at All Kids Bike, and basically the goal of All Kids Bike is to get every kid to ride a bike in kindergarten PE class. It's kind of crazy. You don't really think about it. Like guys like you and I are kind of the enthusiasts. So for us, it's like, yeah, we ride. Our kids are going to ride. They're going to learn how to ride bikes. Most people aren't like that. A lot of people don't even teach their kids how to ride a bike today. Kids are so into their screens and video games and things like that that they don't ever go outside and play and like learn to ride a bike and ride around and ride to their friend's house and do all that kind of stuff. So All Kids Bike mission is to teach the kids how to ride a bike in their kindergarten PE class at school. So you have kids that don't have the opportunity to have a bike at home, or maybe they have one and their parents just don't take the time to teach them. They can learn that skill at school, and everybody gets to do it because it's right there at school. So that's kind of our mission, and we're working towards making that happen all across the country.
I think that's so interesting because there's so many things that we're trying to teach our kids in school, but yeah, at least where I grew up, pedal bikes was not part of the curriculum. And what you're saying is this needs to be part of the curriculum. It's the mission of All Kids Bike is to make sure that everyone gets some exposure to this two-wheeled, phenomenon, which has been around for 150 years. Like we've had pedal bikes for 150 years. And in fact, even, I've heard it said before that the most efficient means of transportation that we've ever devised as a human race is a bicycle, right? And so it makes sense that we teach more people about how this works. You said something that I think a lot of the listeners to Dirt Bike Channel, they will understand what a strider is, but you just said it like casually, and I know we're going to get into it, but you said, I got my kids striders. What does that mean for people who don't know what that means?
Right. So a strider is basically a balance bike. I had one I think I bought one for my daughter when she was probably 9 months old.
It's a bike with no pedals, right?
Right. No pedals. So they get on it and they stride. Essentially they're running with the bike, in between their legs. And as they progress, they can pick their feet up, put them on the little pegs and balance and learn the proper cornering techniques and things like that, the skills that you need to know when you're riding a bike. And, the thing right now, and, when we were probably both kids, is training wheels. And, training wheels don't really teach you the proper mechanics of how to turn a bicycle, or, you don't get the leaning, you don't develop that balance, and kids become dependent on them. Then you'll see I've seen kids with training wheels on the bikes, you bend them all the way up. So it's like, it's still for them, they're still there, but they're really not, they get to a point where they're probably not even using them, but they don't feel comfortable riding with them on there. So, you just get rid of them altogether, and you just start going through the proper way of learning how to ride, and then developing it into, the pedaling and the balancing. And that's basically what striders are. And Ryan McFarland, who started Strider in 2007, basically did it because his son, he wanted to get, just like any kind of moto dad, he wanted to get out on the trails get his kids into it as quickly as possible. And he basically had this idea and kind of worked in his garage and built this bike, and, it's kind of become what it is today.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I remember, I've got 4 kids, and one caveat I would say is, if there's anything I've learned as a parent, is that all kids are different. All 4 of my kids are different. They learn at different, stages, or different speeds. They have different motor skills, gross motor versus fine motor. It's really, really apparent within just my small sample set of kids. So I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush, but I just want to, just in a couple minutes, here's what my experience was. My firstborn Kaylee, she's a girl. She's 16, almost 17 now. I didn't get her. I started her on training wheels because that was the only thing I knew. I had done training wheels when I was a kid. My sisters did training wheels. And so I started my daughter on training wheels, and I couldn't get her off training wheels. She was on training wheels for a couple of years. And I think she was around 6 when she finally, like, it snapped and she got off training wheels. Right at that same time, like within a couple of weeks, I heard about a Strider bike, and I had a 4-year-old son at that time and a 2-year-old son at that time. And I bought a Strider bike. The 4-year-old had been on training wheels for maybe a few weeks or whatever. I guess probably, a year. I got that Strider bike. Within 3 days, my 4-year-old didn't need training wheels anymore. And within about a week, my 2-year-old was busting all over on the Strider bike without feet up on like the little frame, just cruising. Right. And my mind almost exploded because I'm like, I've got a 6-year-old who's she just barely learned how to do this, barely learned how to ride a bike. I got a 4-year-old now that has got it. And because of the Strider bike, and also maybe because some general, good motor skills from this 2-year-old, gross motor skills, I got a 2-year-old. And so it really felt like I got 3 kids riding a bike within what I felt like was a month. And they were all at different ages. And at that point, I looked at the training wheels that I had taken off my 4-year-old's bike, and I was looking at those and I'm going, that's a crutch. Like, that is not the right way to teach. It just seemed so apparent to me that the training wheel was the wrong way to go. And then I thought, well, I've got it all figured out. So then we had a 4th child, and I got her the Strider bike at about a year before she could even do it. And she's now 4, and now she's finally getting it. So it took her a longer time. And so I haven't done training wheels, and I think training wheels are kind of I do believe the training wheels are a crutch, but the Strider bike was instrumental in helping my kids ride. But then I got humbled a little bit by thinking like, oh, I can get this 4th child to be able to ride a bike at 2. She couldn't. She didn't want to. She didn't get it. And so I was just patient with her, and now here she is at 4, and she can do it. And now I need to introduce into her like this pedaling thing. But what is All Kids Bike? What is the curriculum? What is the mission statement is to get all kids on bikes. But what does it look like? How do you try to, teach kids to ride? What are some of the mission initiatives and prerogatives that you guys have?
So the process with All Kids Bike is the first step would be to, if you're a PE teacher, a principal, or whatever you're listening to this, we have an application process. So fill out the application. Once we receive that application, you come into, go to a gal in our office, Bethany, who, if your school opts into it, they build a fundraising page for the school. So all the money that's raised to get the program's $5,000. It comes with 24 Strider 14X balance bikes. That's the next size up from the 12-inch. And it's a pedal conversion bike. So there's one bolt that goes in. You basically bolt the cranks and the sprockets on with one bolt. So as you progress in the training, they bolt that on and the kids are pedaling. But the application comes in, we get the fundraising page set up. And then the schools can, do various ways that they can raise funds. We have grants that come in for schools. We have various organizations that we work for that want to fund schools. But we also have a fundraising specialist on staff here who assists schools with finding grants and fundraising ideas. So once the money is raised, the $5,000, we ship the bikes to the school. PE teacher gets them, and usually a lot of times what they'll do is they'll incorporate like older classes, so say like 4th and 5th graders. They'll bring them in and have them help them assemble these bikes.
Okay.
And they're really simple to put together. You can put them together in like 2 to 3 minutes. Get the bikes all set up, and then once the teacher is ready to start implementing it, we have an 8-week teaching curriculum, and it basically starts at assuming kids have never even seen a bicycle before. So it's got various things you can do. They practice standing there, kind of leaning, things like that. Start moving forward, walking with the bike. once they get into that, then there's like games involved. They play like red light, green light, fun games. And then as it progresses, you get to like the 6th week. And then by that time, the kids are running with these things, running, getting them going, putting their feet up, turning. It's pretty cool to see. And then you put the pedals on, and it's crazy to see, like, you have kids that have never even ridden a bike before, and you put these pedals on, and it's like, boom, they're pedaling these bikes around the gym class, racing around the gym class. It's really entertaining to watch. But that's how the process works. And, basically how the PE teachers kind of seem to do it in units. So they'll do like a biking unit. Well, they'll run through it, 8 weeks, a couple months, run through it, get the kids in there, and they kind of they basically just implement it in with their normal stuff that they would do, basketball, that kind of thing, in blocks. It's cool to see. We have a lot of PE teachers that are just blown away by the success and seeing these kids, the confidence that these kids have, like once they learn how to ride, and, they start off just screaming, they're scared. And then by the end of the 8 weeks, they're just ripping. So it's pretty cool to watch.
I love it. And I'm just kind of perusing over the website right now. It's allkidsbike.org, where you can get the information. And there's several pictures up on there of basically exactly what you're talking about. Just kids having a lot of fun at various levels, and getting some experience here on these bikes. That's pretty cool that it's so I haven't actually purchased this Strider 14X. In fact, I think I'm going to do that now, probably after this call, because I've got the Strider 12. I've had several Strider 12s for my kids,
right?
But it's definitely time to move my 4-year-old up to a Strider 14X.
Yeah, the 14X is really cool. Like I said, it's bigger. It's really good for kids that are, I would say, like 4 to 6. Our program is tailored for kindergartners, but it can also work for first graders. Unless you have like really big kids. I think there's an 80-pound weight limit on the bike. But it's really, it's really neat because, like I said, if the child isn't confident with pedaling, you leave it off and they can just stride with the bike like a normal strider. But then once they get to that point, it's just one bolt that bolts up the cranks and the sprockets, and then they have a pedal bike.
Yeah.
So it's a really neat bike, and really kind of opens the doors up for, kids in that learning phase. And it's ideal for kindergartners and first graders too. That's why we use it with the curriculum. And the one that we use for a big concern, we have 2 big concerns with the program in schools, and it's storage. What are we going to do with all these bikes? PE teachers wonder that. And the other thing is the tires. Like, no PE teacher wants to have to come in and change, 15 tubes because they have 15 flats. So the bikes that we use for the All Kids Bike program have a no flat tire. It's essentially like almost like a moose, for like a really hard moose or like a dirt bike. But it's the tire. And so that's really convenient, makes it really easy. And I mean, there's very, very little maintenance.
Yeah. I've noticed that too. It's nice because with the foam tires, or I don't know what they are, really lightweight foam rubber type tire, you never have to have any flats. That's a good thing to bring up because
I mean, I wouldn't want to. One of my biggest like pet peeves with riding dirt bikes is having to change tires and all that all the time, and I can't imagine having to come in and change like 20 flat tires on a bunch of bikes before a PE class. So we try to make it as easy as possible, and it's relatively low maintenance. And like I said, with storage, we have some really good storage options that we offer, some plans and things that we do with the schools.
So let's talk about why. I mean, so we've talked a little bit about what the program is. Why do you think it's important? I mean, why is this? What's the motivation behind this? Why is this so important to All Kids Bike? In your opinion, to get kids on bike? What's the draw?
I think the main thing, is kind of touched on it earlier. We kind of live in an age where, the easy thing to do is, you put your kids on a device, and, I mean, there's kids spending 7, 8, 9 hours a day, looking at screens and playing video games and things like that. And, the general health of the population is declining, especially what we've gone through with like the last couple of years, with everything. So I think, now more than ever, getting kids active and, instilling that love of being outside and exercise. If you start that young, it carries in throughout their whole life. So that's kind of our goal and what we hope we're doing with this program is just teaching kids a lifelong skill that, builds confidence, their health, everything, but also just builds a stronger, healthier population as they get older. And, it's just good for the overall well-being of the entire country. So that's kind of our thing is just, trying to get people active again and get them involved with this. And then there's other aspects of it as well. Like I'm a moto guy. Like I said, I grew up riding dirt bikes and street bikes. And, I kind of look at what we're doing is essentially building the next generation of, moto enthusiasts, future champions and cycling enthusiasts and future champions by getting them, giving kids this opportunity to learn this skill who may not otherwise have it, in their life. So that's, I think, the importance of the all kids bike program on the motorcycle industry and the cycling industry is, it's very important. I think, what we're doing is going to be making an impact in years to come within the motorcycle world.
Yeah, I totally agree, because if you stop and think about it, one of the big issues that we have as a dirt bike community is limited access to trails. Depending on where you live in the country, it can be very difficult to find someplace that's legal for you to ride a dirt bike. And part of that reason is because we're a small demographic, we're a small user group. And, there's some challenges, like sometimes you have some bad apples or whatever that are maybe destroying things for other people or kind of making a bad name for people. But if we can get more people into these sports, the more people into the sports, the better, because then we'll have, it will be bigger groups. We can do more trail maintenance. We can open up more trails and those types of things. And I just think it's a good thing for the entire industry. And I also love what you say about just getting kids outside. With my kids, there's I'm hoping it's a little bit of a healthy balance. They like my dad, when I was growing up, he was like, no video games, you're not going to have. So I grew up with no Nintendo, no nothing. So I was kind of on the extreme side of that. And I've loosened it up on my kids where I'm just like, hey, look, we're going to be involved in some sports. So whether it's basketball, dirt bikes, track and field or whatever. And now I've got one son that wants to get into mountain bike on the mountain bike team. But I'm also saying, hey, it's okay for you to do a little bit of stuff on screens as well. We just need to have some balance with it. And I'm just trying to raise balanced kids. So they get a little bit of experience with everything, and it's amazing how fast they learn. I mean, I was playing some video games with my kids just the other day. They're so much better than me at the video games, but also at the same time, they're so much better than me at riding motorcycles. They're anywhere from 6 to 13, 14, and they're so far advanced of where I was at 6 or 14. Right. And so they're kind of learning a lot of things, and I'm just trying to expose them to a number of things. I want them to be physically fit, and that's where dirt bikes or pedal bikes or all this stuff. We're out there making jumps, like we're out there building jumps. It was a couple weeks ago. My boys came and they said, "Hey, Dad, we got all this wood. My friend has all this wood, but we want to make a jump and we don't know how." And I'm sitting there going, "Well, I'm not a woodworker," but we went outside. We spent the afternoon and we built pedal bike jumps, and it was fun, and then the next day they're playing some video games, and I'm just trying to be like, hey, I'm not going to be super, Nazi about any of this stuff, but I want you to be exposed to a lot of different things. I want you to be well-rounded, and I want you to have good physical fitness. I want you to have good mental acuity. I think that if we can expose kids to, a wide range of experiences, we're going to probably develop more balanced people. And right. So this all kids bike is very fascinating to me, because I do think about all the different, family dynamics that are out there and the different socioeconomic problems and challenges, especially inside of cities. If you live in an inner city or something like this, maybe it's New York, maybe it's Philadelphia, you might be living in an apartment and you don't have the ability to provide even the opportunity for a bike for your kid. And it seems like life moves so fast. Next thing you know, you've got a kid who's 8, 9, 10, and they don't have, and they've never ridden a bike. Probably a lot of the people listening to this podcast are not maybe in that same demographic, but we have to realize this is happening.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned one, and I don't know where you get the statistic, but you mentioned in one of the conversations that we had, and even in the outline as we went over what we wanted to cover, 3/4 of the kids in the U.S. won't ride a bicycle once this year. Where does that come from? Like, can we talk about that?
I could find the exact website of it with the statistic, but yeah, I mean, it's startling the amount of kids that won't ride a bicycle even once this year. We have on our YouTube channel, there's a little mini documentary about a school in the Bronx that got this program, and the majority of these kids had never even been around a bicycle. I mean, 5, 6 years old, never even seen a bicycle. And they got them into their school, and their PE teacher taught these kids how to ride a bike. Where I live here in South Dakota, and it's probably similar to where you are. A lot of the kids, it's more rural. So like a lot more of the kids kind of get into riding bikes and things like that. But what we're seeing, especially in the inner cities, is like what I just said. A lot of these kids are never even exposed to it. And if they are, they don't have a good, safe place to ride. Like I said, maybe the parents don't have time to take them to the park and teach them how to ride. So, it just makes sense to offer it in schools and give them a chance to develop the skill that, they may do it and, it changes their life. And, next thing I know, they're, trying to become a professional bicycle racer, BMX rider, getting into the industry somehow. But yeah, no, it's crazy. And, I think the thing with that is it goes back to, there's just a lot more distraction now that kind of take away from, riding a bike than there were when I was a kid or when you were a kid. So we're trying to bring back that bike culture and just at least expose the kids and give them a chance to develop the skill and learn it and, have some fun while they're doing it. But what you were kind of talking about with kids, my son is very similar. He's 5. And, I got him on the Strider before he could even walk. I was trying to get him to do it. And he kind of took to it like a duck in water. I have videos of him at 2 years old, just ripping on this thing. And, he loves riding bikes. Like I'll take him to the pump track and do all that. And he does stuff. I mean, I couldn't even imagine doing that when I was 5 years old, like just rolling over the big jumps and things. But if I let him, he would look at an iPad all day long. He would sit there and look at an iPad and try to play games and do that all day long. Going back to what you were saying with, situations vary. The majority of people that probably listen to this podcast are, enthusiasts. So if you have kids, you're going to try to get them into what we're into. But a lot of people, that's not the case. And, the easy thing to do is just, mom and dad are working or busy. Here's the iPad, distract yourself with that. So we try to be the outlet to, teach these kids this skill in a place where, everybody can learn it, and that's in school. And, maybe that translates into the rest of their life, and, they build from there.
Yeah. One of the reasons it's just one of the reasons why we send our kids to school and why we spend so much money on education is just to expose our kids and our society to various ideas and various topics, because probably there's very few kids that grow up thinking that they want to be some chemical engineer when they're 4, 5, 6, but they go through school and they're like, oh, I have an interest in this field of study or whatever. And this is how we get mathematicians, and this is how we get marine biologists, and this is how we get, computer scientists and all these things. But it's also how we get motorcycle enthusiasts. It's how we get dirt bike racers. It's how we get street bike racers, is by exposing them to various things. And in the world that we live in, there's so many different opportunities to make money in various ways. I mean, who would have thought, if you would have told my dad or my mom or dad, my parents, 30 years ago, that your son would be making money by doing videos and podcasts about dirt bikes, and it would be enough to support a family, they would have said, no way. And it's just crazy. Like, there's so many opportunities now with the internet to kind of even make a career out of this, some of this stuff. But it all starts in our industry of like dirt bikes or pedal bikes or electric bikes. It all starts at this ground level, the foundation, which is, getting people the skills to ride a bicycle. My daughter, my 4-year-old, she sees the fact that all the other kids in the family have dirt bikes, and she wants a dirt bike. Yeah. And I've been telling her for the last couple of years, like, there's a few things we got to do. You've got to get good at your Strider bike. You've got to get good at pedaling, and you've got to be able to ride a pedal bike. And I've told her, as soon as you're really good at a pedal bike, then I'll get you a dirt bike. And she's into that. Like, she wants to just climb that ladder. We talk about a ladder, like pedal bikes being the first rung of the ladder. And she is seeing that, and she's like, I want to progress up this ladder and get motorcycles. And that's what I think is so magical. Like, this is why I think it's important, even just for my industry. My interest is because getting kids on bikes is the gateway in order to grow all of these other things that are so near and dear to me. And and there's so many benefits. There's so many benefits to like getting into a sport like this, getting into dirt bikes, getting into pedal bikes. Even last night at that riders meeting, the parents meeting for this mountain bike team, the guy said something that I say all the time, which is, you're going to do hard things. We're going to teach you how to do hard things. And I'm going, this is what I tell my kids every time we go dirt biking, is we're learning how to do hard things. And the mountain bike community is saying the same thing, because you have to push yourself. I'm sure it's the same in the BMX community. It's like, we're going to train, we're going to do these things. We're going to have, we're going to work really hard to be able to accomplish these goals. And it's cool that you're doing something outside and something physical, because as the world has become more and more addicted to screens, we almost have to be more and more creative about how to get our kids exercise opportunities, because it's so easy to just sit inside. Even, guys like me, people think, oh, it must be awesome to be paid to ride dirt bikes. I'm like, no, I'm just paid to sit in front of the computer and answer questions, or I'm paid to sit in front of the computer and edit video or whatever. Most of what I do is sitting in this room at this computer, at this chair. And so I've had to get creative and be like, okay, I need a strength program, I need a cardio program, and I need to be very regimented with this stuff. And if we can teach kids at a young age the importance of being physically fit, physically active, and creating some goals and then achieving those goals, I think that's a positive thing for society overall.
Definitely. The confidence thing is huge. And that's like, that's what's really cool to see with these kids when they learn how to do it. Learning how to ride a bike, can be really, really challenging for kids. And we're doing some stuff right now where we're updating our teaching curriculum. We're doing videos. So we've been teaching, we've been going to a local PE class for the last 8 weeks, and working with the kindergarten class and running through the curriculum and getting all these kids, learning to ride. And the confidence that you see, initially they come in and some of them are familiar, some of them aren't, they're scared, crying. But as they progress and you see that confidence and they're realizing I'm doing this, I'm learning this skill, I'm developing it. I mean, that'll carry through for a lifetime, like you said about, do hard things, if they do something hard, if a child is, riding a bike, learning to ride was the hardest thing that they've done, they're going to remember that and be able to draw on that experience as they go forward in life, getting into, if they want to get into engineering, oh, this is really hard. Well, I know I can do hard things because I've done it before. So, the challenges and things like that are just so important for kids to learn how to face and to overcome. And I mean, you grow so much from learning how to do hard stuff and sticking with it and not giving up and, setting a goal and reaching it. And I think that's just very important to instill in the kids. I try to do that with my kids. Let them, teach them that they can pretty much do anything if they try their hardest and you put their mind to it.
Yeah. And riding a bike is kind of strange because it's hard. And then all of a sudden at one moment, usually
it just clicks.
It just clicks. Similar.
That's one of the coolest things about, going to the classes and seeing the program is when a kid is like, oh man, they're getting frustrated. They're crying, they're kind of pouting a little bit, and then all of a sudden just boom, they've got it.
Yeah.
And like, that's it, it's like the aha moment, it's really awesome to see that.
Yeah. I just watched it recently with my 4-year-old daughter who is just now kind of cracked that code because last fall, she was on the Strider bike and she was not really striding with it. What happens is, as you kind of described, they're just kind of walking with it and then they start running with it. And then the strides become longer and longer between where they're putting their feet down. And then all of a sudden something happens and then they can go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet between putting a foot down and it's just clicked. And that has happened with my daughter, even just probably in the last few weeks. And then what that did is all of a sudden all her brothers and sisters, they have scooters and she has a scooter too. All of a sudden she went from not being able to do a scooter, like last fall couldn't do the scooter. Now we got her just a regular scooter and she was out riding it. And it was like, before the snow flew in October, couldn't ride the scooter. She could only ride a 3-wheel scooter with like 2 wheels up in the front, and it was like a trike scooter type thing. And then suddenly, because this thing clicked in her head, now she's riding a regular scooter. And I didn't teach her that. It just kind of clicked in her head. And I know, and we have to realize that this is kind of a scary thing for kids, and it's good to work them in slowly. I was reminded of this because I don't know if anybody's seen the one wheels out there. Like they're kind of expensive, but it's this one wheel balance thing that you jump on. I looked at all the YouTube videos and I thought that was going to be really easy to ride. I don't know if you've ever ridden one.
I haven't, but I've seen people riding them.
But it looked like it was going to be super easy. And I thought, hey, I've got good balance. I'm going to be able to do this. I bought it last September or October, and it was the scariest thing ever. I tried to get on that thing. It was for me. I thought it was going to be super easy, and it was so intimidating to ride. And I had to force myself to ride it for the first week, spend a little bit of time on it each day, and I got where my kids could ride it. But even then, they're just like, they're a little unstable on it. They don't ride it as much as I thought they would because it's intimidating. And I think we forget that when you're a small child, or even if you're 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, and you've never ridden a bike before, it's pretty intimidating. And so it's good to get people in at the ground level, especially before they start getting made fun of. Because that's another thing. If they don't learn in kindergarten or, up to maybe first, second, third grade, then it's going to become like a stigma for them and they won't want to do it because
they probably never will at that point.
They might not. And that's another thing. If we don't get kids in at a young age learning how to ride pedal bikes, what are the chances that they'll ever have a motorcycle as an adult? What are those chances?
Yeah, they definitely won't. We have schools out there that do kind of bike programs for older kids. So, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. They'll have like an organization within the community that may have donated some bikes, and they'll have a program where they get, try to get these older kids to ride. And it is crazy the amount of kids that age, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, that don't know how to ride a bicycle. So they're almost having to teach them how to ride a bike at that age. And like you said, if you don't get it if you don't learn young, the chances of getting into this is why I think it's so important for the motorcycle industry to kind of take notice of this and what we're trying to do. If they don't learn to develop that skill, I mean, they might not develop a love for it where, as soon as they can. Like with me, as soon as I could, I got a motorcycle license. I had bought a street motorcycle when I was a senior in high school, got my license as soon as possible. Not everybody's going to be like that, but if they don't know how to ride a bike at all, they're never going to even think about getting involved in it, or riding off road or anything like that. So I think it's really important. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do. So my main role is we have a group of ambassadors.
Yeah. I want to talk about that. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So we have a group of ambassadors for our program, and they range from, cycling industry people, motorcycle industry people. We've got some professional motorcycle riders involved, mountain bike riders. And basically, they're helping out with spreading the word of the program, and helping us do things. And, some of them have funded schools and things like that. But I kind of lean toward the moto industry, and the mountain biking industry, just to kind of looking at it as, like I said, we're almost like a feeder. It's almost like a feeder for like future generations of these companies, getting them involved. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do is get more awareness out there for us within those industries. And so people can kind of, take notice, like, yeah, this is really important if we want to continue. I'm pretty sure like motorcycle ridership is on the decline. I don't think it's growing. I think it's, maybe flatlined or probably going down. And our goal is to, get more kids into, developing a love for two wheels, who hopefully will one day want to ride a dirt bike or a street bike, or, go buy a nice downhill mountain bike and, make it part of their life.
Yeah, I definitely think my sense is that street bike riding is going down. My sense dirt bike riding is on the upswing, but maybe I'm just totally biased on that. But I do think.
Yeah, I'd like to see those numbers. Like I'm kind of with you. Like I feel like, I don't know, it's hard. Like I know I have a group of guys that I ride with here, but outside of that group, like I can see like motocross. That's always been the one that everybody wants to do. But I think enduro, off road. It's hard to say, but
yeah. But
I'd like to see it grow more, so that's.
Yeah. I just walk into dealerships, at least around here in Utah. And if I look at the amount of off-road machines versus the amount of on-road machines that I see in dealerships, and maybe that's not a good indication, but it's just like, I feel like I don't see as many street bikes. I was the same as you. I got my driver's license. The day I got my driver's license, I also did my motorcycle license. So I've been licensed to ride a street bike ever since I've been, the same day I got my driver's license to drive a car. And I haven't done a ton of street bike riding, to be completely honest. I've only owned a couple of them. I'm kind of terrified when I'm out there. I'm just like, wow, there's so many cars that are just ready to kill me out on the road when I'm on a motorcycle on the road. But the dirt bikes have been, it just took over my life. And you never know who's going to come into the sport that's really going to elevate it. Who are some of the, I don't know if we can talk about it, but who are some of the national ambassadors that some of the ones that you're working with?
Yeah. So since I've kind of come on board, we've got Cody Webb on, Factory One Sherco, hard enduro cross rider. Colton Haker is an ambassador. Keith Curtis, who is a snowmobiler and hard enduro rider. So those are like some moto guys that we have in like the bicycling world. We got Brian Lopes, who's a 4-time world mountain bike champion. And he's actually doing some amazing stuff in Southern California. He's got like 4 schools that he's fundraised for and brought the program into in Southern California there. A whole bunch. We've got a big list. I think we have 120. And like I said, they vary. We have, just some are just good Samaritans, people that are in their community. And it's like, man, I really like this program. I want to do something to raise funds. And like, I want to put this in the school in my town. And, those are the kind of people that, I want to talk to and, see if they'd like to help us and, officially come on board with our mission. You don't have to be a pro, pro this or pro that. You can just be a person that believes in getting kids healthy and getting them riding. And, maybe you have a couple schools you're familiar with and, you want to, explore the idea of fundraising and getting the program in. Those are the kind of people that we're looking for, to come on board as ambassadors of the program. And then another thing that I'm kind of doing is reaching out to, various, businesses, dealerships. We have a couple Indian dealerships that are doing things where they round up when they're checking out, they round up and the money goes to All Kids Bike. So they're fundraising within the store to bring a program into their communities. Actually just did a really cool thing with one of our ambassadors, Alex Mock, who's in Southern California. He has a company called DRT Racing, and he puts on at Lake Elsinore, kind of a kids, all-encompassing kind of kids racing. So he does Strider racing, Stasic racing, the 12 and 16-inch class, modified versions, PW50s, TTRs, CRF 50s, and they get a ton of kids out that race this. And what we're doing now with that is every registration that they have, we're doing a $1 donation to All Kids Bike. And he does like 21 races a year. He gets like 400 registrants per race. And then the organization, it's called the Wacky Racers, they're matching the donation that he's doing. So we're going to do some really good work with that and getting the program into more places out there. And, again, it's like, it's kind of a feeder thing for his racing league. You get it into the kindergartners in the school start to learn how to ride. And then the next thing you know, they're going out to his races and they're racing the Strider bike out there. Maybe they, end up getting a little Stasic and they're racing a Stasic. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's kind of with the ambassadors, just passionate people that believe in it and want to make a difference. And, even if that difference is just using their voice on social media by, tagging All Kids Bike or, things like that, just helping us spread the word and get the message out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's probably a good segue into like, how do people get involved? Like, what's the best way? If we've got listeners of this podcast that want to get involved, I mean, you're probably looking for PE teachers, principals, enthusiasts, ambassadors, all of the above. How do they get in contact with you? And then what does this process look like? Like, let's say there's a PE teacher or a principal that's listening to this. What do they do? How do they contact you? And what does that process entail?
Yeah. So you can go to our website, allkidsbike.org. There's a lot of information on there, contact forms on there. You can reach out to us, email me, hunter@allkidsbike.org. And that's kind of getting the process started. And I would say, if you're a PE teacher, you'd like to bring this into your school, definitely get in touch with us. Like I said, through the website or my email, or all of our contact information is on there. Get in touch with us if you're a principal, same thing. If you want to figure out how it works, what you have to do, we can go over the application and everything with you. And then, business owners are just, like I said, somebody that's in a community and thinks that it would be good for, their kid's school, or you have a kid that's going to be in kindergarten next year, and you think it would be cool that they had a bike program in their PE class. I would have loved it in PE if I had a, bicycle program. I would have thought that was awesome. So if you want to look into it, yeah, just allkidsbike.org and can reach us from there. We're also on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, YouTube channel. But yeah, that's the way to get a hold of us. And like I said, anybody who, if you want more information, just kind of what we're all about, or you want to figure out a way to get it to your school, we want to hear from you and work with you and help you out.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I do think that this is an amazing feeder program for the moto community. And that's the point that I would really like to drive home to my listeners is, sometimes it's too easy for us to forget that the first thing that has to happen for you to get into moto is you need to learn to ride a bicycle. You cannot ride a dirt bike most people are never going to, like we said, most people are never going to ride a dirt bike unless they've learned how to ride a pedal bike. And so that's what All Kids Bike is trying to do, is make this a mainstream thing and get support from people and get funding from people, businesses, organizations, so that we can get these in your individual communities. And the only way to get a program like this into your community is if you and your friends and your business associates or whatever step up and say, hey, let's contact the school and let's get some money, fundraised here, and let's get this program in so that our kids can be exposed to this at a really young age and just help kids get more active. So many of like PE seems like a perfect place to do it. If we're teaching basketball, if we're teaching badminton or like Foursquare or whatever they teach, why not teach some bikes? And a big problem with it is like the equipment. It's like schools are going, well, we don't have 20, pedal bikes or whatever. We don't have 20 bikes. We don't have the equipment to be able to teach this. So that's one of the ways you guys are coming in and solving that problem is by going, hey, we've got solutions for this. Right. And this is a cool thing that can happen in your community, in your school, which can help benefit the social well-being, the physical well-being of the kids. And then for us in the moto community, selfish side note over here is this gives us an additional pool of people to pull from as they grow up. And then we can start selling them motorcycles and getting them into this and getting them into our sport. And a high tide raises all ships. And I guess that's the main thing with this is it's two wheels. Like I love everything on two wheels, and we need to get more people involved in two wheels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're curious about what, say you're in your community and you're just curious, if there's a school in your community that may be looking to get the program. If you also on our website, if you click on the donate button, we have a list of all the schools that are we call it the funding queue. And they're in various processes of raising funds to get the program into their school.
Oh yeah. There's a ton of things in here.
Yeah. So we have a pretty long list of schools there that are in the process of raising funds. And then we have various pages with our ambassadors and other organizations that are looking to raise funds to do different things in their communities. But, if you'd like to make a donation, we say $10 teaches one kid how to ride a bike. You can go to the website there and click the donate page. And, if you're curious about if there's a school in your community, kind of scroll through there and see. And, like I said, if you want to bring one into the community, just let us know and we can work on that process as well. But yeah, I think it's, I'm passionate about two wheels, just like you. And I just think it's so important to, especially, continue for the health of the population and the industry in general, just to get more kids exposed to riding and, seeing where they go from it, and, as they progress. So
awesome. Well, it's allkidsbike.org. All the information is over there. I've just been kind of clicking around on the website a little bit while me and Hunter have been talking. There's a donate button there. There's a contact button. You can learn more about what is going on with this. And I think it's a cool thing. So if you're listening to this, please go check that out, allkidsbike.org. They've got contact pages on there, or you can just email Hunter, right? It's hunter@allkidsbike.org.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You can shoot us a message through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook too. We check all that stuff.
All those. So. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully you can continue to do the good work, the good work out there. I appreciate you reaching out, and I'm glad that we took the time to kind of stay with each other and record this podcast. So I appreciate what you're doing, and who knows, maybe Dirt Bike Channel can be an ambassador later this year. We'll just kind of see how things shake out. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Kyle. And if you ever want to make a trip up to the Black Hills, man, let me know. We got some good riding up here. We'll take you out.
Is that up by Sturgis? Is that kind of where that is?
Yeah. So the whole area there, the Black Hills. So we're in Rapid City. Got kind of a pretty big swath of land. It's some pretty gnarly stuff, some really good single track. Some good riding. So if you ever make it up this way, definitely let us know and we'll take you out.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, thanks for joining, and I'll cut you loose.
Appreciate it, Kyle.
Thanks, Hunter. Bye. And that's it. So that was our interview with Hunter Johnson with All Kids Bike. Thanks for joining us on that podcast. That was a lot of fun, just kind of talking with him. I've been meaning to get that interview done for, 2 or 3 months. So that was super fun to kind of finally have that done. If you want to support what they're doing, it's allkidsbike.org. Go over there, check it out, and leave a single track while doing it. Thanks so much, guys.